G'day, mate, and welcome to Friday Facts 288. New Remnants, more bugs. I've got a mojo and a sick JD.
Hello.
Hey.
Is this where you cough?
No, I don't need to cough at the moment. But I rule out nothing during the recording of this video because man flu sucks. Especially in, what are we in? We're in sort of the end of spring, start of autumn.
We're right on the cusp of, as of 2 days from now, it is officially...
Yep, he dropped out. Autumn. So, yeah. And it's still like,
Worst.
yeah, 23, 24 degrees Celsius. So, I had to do it for an American the other day. Convert it to freedom units. It's like 70, 80 odd degrees in freedom units. I don't know. You've got Google. Go search it up. It's hot.
It's funny because it just hailed earlier.
Oh man, it was pouring last night, but it was pouring at like 20 degrees Celsius. It was insane. Anyway, Friday Facts. So we've been busy with a few things. Yeah, a few things. Look, the bottom part's the interesting part. So they remove right to left language translations, which were Hebrew and Arabic. Basically, nobody used them anyway, and they've left them in the game. But if you really want to use them, you've got to manually edit your config file to set your local, and the details are inside their forums. That's about it. Done. Dusted.
Yeah.
Over and done with.
So it's not completely deleted. They just removed the option to switch over to it.
Yeah.
You have to do it with infantry and hacks.
Yeah, because
config hacks.
The game's just not configured for right to left, and I understand. I haven't seen that many games that do right to left correctly, right? Not that I've had that much experience with right to left, but anyway. We've got interesting bug reports by RSeeding. Now, RSeeding is the king of all bugs and the king of all optimizations. And
loves his optimizations.
Yeah. So years ago, when I was just getting into programming field, I was told by others that somebody typically starts in QA bug testing, and once they prove themselves, they can move on to the fun work. It was 4 years, 7 months, and 8 days ago, as of writing this, I asked Covrex about the possibility of letting me help fix bugs in Factorio. And bug fixing is my second favourite part of working on the Factorio, with optimizations taking first place. The weirder and more difficult bug is to track down, the more I enjoy working on it and finally seeing it resolved. Naturally, I've spent much time working on bug fixes in the same code base and always going for the difficult ones. I've often got quite good at it. One of the fun parts of fixing difficult bugs is putting the reproduction steps in the changelog and watching people's reactions when they read the patch notes for that release.
There's some hilarious ones in there that I've seen over the years.
There is.
Been itemized a few down below.
Yeah, well, I remember the ones down below. But for 17, we've got the game would crash when bringing up the escape menu in multiplayer while in the middle of using blueprints, deconstruction planners, then releasing the mouse button. Like, how the hell do you manage to track that shit down?
Gotta hop on 1 foot while somersaulting or something?
Yeah. The game GUI would be hidden if the game was saved and loaded whilst the technology GUI was open. How do you save a game? Like, it'd have to be multiplayer for somebody to save the game whilst you've got the GUI open. I guess an autosave would do it?
Autosave would do it, yeah.
Yeah. The game would crash whilst removing a target rail of a temporary train order if the target rail was a dead end.
Specifically a dead end. Like, it had to be an end piece.
Yeah. The game would crash if you open the update mods GUI, weren't signed in, then closed the sign-in prompt, click refresh, signed in, left the updates mod GUI, and then came back to it, found the automatic crash logs. Like, at least the automatic crash logs do something great, but wow!
A lot of steps in that one.
Yeah, game would crash if the open GUI target became invalid during the same tick as the autosave starting. That's like... okay...
Race condition.
Weird. Yeah. But the best ones they've had previously is the game would crash when clicking the restart from a running game if the new game happened to be created at the exact same memory address as the old game.
I think I remember him discovering that one.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was, what, 14, 15, somewhere around about there?
Something like that. Most of these are 14. Like the next one, the multiplayer map transfer logic getting stuck forever trying to send the last packet. That one, I know you got him going for weeks and months.
Ages and he couldn't work out what it was. And it had nothing to do with Factorio.
Yeah.
And it's just, some routers don't like it. Alright? And I think his answer was, if it comes up with that particular packet length, he just adds a bit to it, and then the game at the other end removes that bit, right? Just so it's a different CRC, yeah. And the best one, the game crashes randomly inside heavily threaded render logic if you have an AMD Ryzen CPU with older chipset drivers and BIOS. We will still get the crash reports from this one, a handful with each release. The fix for this one is simple: update chipset drivers and BIOS. It's common enough that we'll mostly likely add a special message if we detect it happening. See this forum post. Now, this forum post is like ages. It's a year ago or something, over a year ago. And it was one that had them going for ages and ages and ages. They just couldn't work out what it was. Because all QA and QA dev computers, all that sort of stuff, they're always running the latest BIOS, the latest chipset drivers, all that sort of stuff.
Well, any normal person keeps their system up to date.
Okay, I put my hand up as not normal. If it works, I don't need to update it. But yeah,
I got to admit, mine's a little bit behind the times. I haven't done a BIOS check in a while. But admittedly, normally you don't need to update.
No. You only run down that avenue if things are not working. And a game crashing, maybe I'd look at my BIOS drivers, but 9 times out of 10, no. If Windows works, I'd go down. BIOS is probably fine. Anyway, so bug fixing is going well. We had a rough release earlier this week. Related to some GUI logic not working correctly. In the past, we've talked about our automated test system, which is amazing, and we've seen videos of it in the past, which normally renders normally tests game logic. With the rough release earlier this week, it pushed me to get the system into a shape where it can run automatic graphics tests in hopes of avoiding these issues we've had during the 2 broken versions. We still have a few small things to fix, but however, the automatic test system can now run a full graphics interface whilst running the tests in parallel. Just for fun, I set it up so it would arrange the windows in a grid, and we're just going to watch this for just a second.
It's fun. It's also noisy.
It's very, very noisy. And it's sort of insane that the poor computer is running 16 different copies of Factorio at the same time, running a bunch of different tests on each of these 16 different versions. And again, it just goes to how good Woob is and how quickly they push out their updates and check them over with just an automated system. Just run a command, and if something triggers, obviously there was something wrong, we're going to fix it. Otherwise, chances are it's probably good to go.
I wonder if railway signals are in there.
After they had an update where all signals stopped working, I imagine it's probably been added since. Actually,
it's a more fundamental human level verification was required for that one, in the sense of actually checking to make sure your code didn't break anything.
Yeah, I just saw the window second one in at the top had a bunch of signals, so maybe they are checked.
Maybe they are there.
So then, the most important part of this Friday Facts. So we have new remnants for almost everything. Since forever, when killing enemies, we use generic remnants, with few exceptions being walls and rails. We only cared about the size of anything, and it is done. And we've seen the little debris for everything, being power poles, assemblers. It's boring.
They don't have different sized little rubble piles depending on what it was.
Oh, it's a rubble pile. You basically ignore it, right? Or if you're not at the point where you have robots, and especially if you've been hit by a heap of biters, you're like, what did I put in that spaghetti mess there? Because there's just rubble everywhere, and you can't tell what anything was. So yeah, this is an okay solution, but for a more specific natural remnants, but we want more specific and natural remnants. So it is possible to recognize which enemy was destroyed, which I love the idea of.
Very much so. It's
not really super necessary because ghosts are normally providing this information after you have robots. And considering... So they've looked at people's progression according to the Steam achievements before, and they've noticed a lot of people don't launch a rocket. But
there's a surprising amount of people don't launch a rocket.
Yeah, and there's also a big drop-off before people get to oil processing. And of course, you need oil for robots.
Yes.
So I'm wondering how many people actually have seen that ghost interface. Because without that, like I said, if you have biters walk through half your base, you're like, it's just rubble everywhere. I got no idea what was what. And especially if you're a new player, your spaghetti is fine. It is fine and unique, and you have no way of remembering what was what.
It's a sign that you should make bigger and better spaghetti.
Yes, that is often the case. Probably with more defenses. So yeah. Because we're polishing the game, making everything nicer where possible, we start experiment with small electric poles. And I love that they've put together a couple of them.
The sad electric poles.
Yeah, and I really hope that they... Like, electric poles, they've got 5 currently. And I really hope for everything that is destroyed, there's not just one generic, that's what a dead power pole looks like. I really hope there is variety in the remnants. So when things die, you actually have a few different iterations of what that dead graphic could look like. Just put it out there.
In the first animation, you see when the Blake character's shooting the pole, you can actually see the poles have this U shape in them, and then like the bottom left one, you see it reorientate when it loses the connection, and now it looks like the top bit's connected straight to the pole.
Oh, yeah, you do too.
I always thought that looked really janky.
It does look really janky.
And you can see it again in the picture below. There's actually a normal power pole, and then you can see the U shape and the things around it. But yeah, it looks weird on the different orientations.
It does. Anyway.
Now, one more thing with the second picture. I know you're desperate to go because you're about to die. Look at the top right-hand one. Where do those logic wires go?
They go down the pole.
Yeah, it's hollow.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Of course it's a hollow wooden pole. Like you chop down the tree and then you get out your drill and you drill all the way down the pole. Alright? And the logic wires go down the pole. And I have no idea why, because then they string to the next pole, but
Yeah,
sure.
you could understand the electric wire going down there.
Yes.
Yeah, there's something you can speculate in the comments.
I don't know. But the question is, with the one on the top left, where the pole's broken, there are no logic wires, like, going through the break.
Yes.
So they only go down the pole halfway. Obviously, you need a longer drill bit. That must be it. You couldn't drill all the way through the whole pole. You only get halfway down.
Yes.
So yeah, we realized how simple things can become complicated in no time in Factorio, and we can see that because of their Z-axis, the poles are being put underneath the accumulators. In most cases. Not all cases, because they do have one that's like inside its own tile, mostly.
There's rendering logic to it.
Yeah.
But and there should also be distinguished that there's, when the Z-axis, when they say Z-axis, it's not an actual depth, it's just telling it what layer every sprite goes on.
What gets rendered top to bottom, yeah.
Yeah. What sits on what?
Yeah, so Factorio renders the objects from top to bottom and then from left to right. Meaning objects on top are covered by objects below them, and objects on the left are covered by objects on their right. So we need to be very careful with remnants invading tiles not assigned them. This makes the composition more difficult because this can happen. And we can see the power poles fall on the accumulator, which I am waiting for a mod developer to go, oh, your power pole fell on your accumulator is going to take damage. And it's going to short out. Because I bet you a mod dev will do that.
All the people screaming for machinery taking damage over time, just lighting up right now. I can just... Oh, you're giving them ideas.
Well, look, if you fed all the machinery a lubricant, it wouldn't be a problem. It wouldn't take damage. In this case...
You feed them repair packs.
Yeah, that too. Once you get robots and repair packs. Look, I've had the same suggestion come up in my community map, where, like, buildings should take damage if they're in the pollution, more damage. They should take damage over time. And I'm like, no, as soon as you get repair packs, that's it. You just got
bots, actually. As soon as you get bots, you basically automate it and eliminate the mechanic.
Yeah. And
Govorik's already addressed it over a year ago, probably 2 years ago now.
And it just becomes a resource sink. A resource sink and a time sink and a UPS sink. And it's just really not worth it. So yeah. In this case, we're lucky because it looks nice, but in other directions, we wouldn't be so lucky. With more heavy remnants like a nuclear reactor or an oil refinery, we are not going to have this happy accident anymore. Of course, we're trying to make these happy accidents possible with any setup, but allow me to be skeptical in this regard. Now, I got a question. Does a nuclear reactor leave any remnants? Because I know if they're really, really hot to start with, they just go boom.
They go boom and they leave remnants, just like anything else.
Okay.
Boom does leave remnants.
I thought they just left a crater.
Nope.
So yeah, remember the player can also walk through the remnants because they don't have collision boxes. It's going to be really weird seeing a player literally ignoring the physicality of the world. One potential solution proposed was to add a collision box to the remnants so we'd avoid this nasty visual effect. This solution seems nice for the beginning, but it touches on so many aspects of the actual balance of the gameplay that we dismissed it. It's funny, like, I wouldn't mind remnants for... I wouldn't mind collision boxes for anything that had a collision box to start with, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, your oil refinery, just because it's blown up, doesn't mean I should be able to walk through it. I admit the collision box should probably be like 75% of the original refinery size, so I can weave my way through the rubble, because if I have built a really bad refinery setup where I can't walk through any of the pipes to start with, then if it's a slightly smaller collision box, then hopefully I can replace things and walk through it to replace them and work my way out the other side. Power pole doesn't have a collision box to start with, so who cares?
It has a small one.
Does it?
Yeah.
I didn't think small ones did. I thought medium ones did. But I thought smalls didn't have collision.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, well there you go. Yeah, look, I wouldn't have a problem with things having a collision box. It just have to be slightly smaller than the original. Like, you know, if a building collapses, obviously the size the building took up previously you couldn't walk into because there were walls, but now it's collapsed and on top of itself, you can sort of start walking up some of the rubble, you know, in a real life situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to see what other destructibles come out.
Yeah, this could be interesting.
It could
see what they come up with next.
It could be very interesting to nuke your own base. Just putting it out there.
Of course.
Oh, look, you know, every good playthrough you need to nuke it when you're done. Make that final save and then go, yep, I'm done, and we're going to nuke everything. So yeah, another quick Friday Facts. Not a lot here, but interesting to see what's coming for...
few little developments.
For maybe 17 point something, or 18, or 19, or version 1, or...
Version 17.117.
Yeah, something like that. All right.
Zooming pretty hard and fast into 3-digit release numbers. 3-digit minor releases.
Yeah, I've been sick for a week, and I think I was told that one day they had... No, was it this week? They had 3 updates?
Yeah, that was 19, 20, and 21
yeah.
within like 6 hours.
And I think 22 is already out today.
Probably.
Yeah. So there's been like 4 updates in a week, and I'm like, oh, wow, okay. Yeah. Yeah, and my community server, I finally got around to updating, and it went from 11 to 20 or something like that, because I hadn't looked at it in 2 weeks.
Oh, yep, 17, 23's out.
23, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, Weeb's hard at work. Seating's obviously busy. He's finished playing Satisfactory. He's back to work. Anyway, I think that's where we're going to leave this one, right?
Yep, that's it.
All right, thank you guys for watching.
Nothing else?
No, nothing else. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching, as always, and we'll see you guys next week. All right, bye.
Bye.